We're going to have a very interesting, vibrant conversation this morning. I've been joined by Ernest Yaokumi, who is a member of the National Communication Team of the NPP, as well as Victor Kwejoga Adawudu, a member of the NDC Legal and Communications Teams. Gentlemen, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Did I say it right? Did I say it correctly?
Yeah, you said it
Thank you very
correctly.
much. I said this today. I'm going to get it right.
I think I owe you a bowl of okra soup.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Ernest, how you doing?
I'm good, my brother.
Yeah. Nice
How are you
one.
too?
Nice one. I'm well. Thank you. Thank you.
It's nice seeing your new studio. I
Well,
think it's my first time.
Oh, it's your first time in here.
In here,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Okay.
I've been at the other time.
Oh,
the
okay.
Other side,
The other
couple of
side.
times, but
Okay.
It's my first time in here.
Well, it's good to have you
It's
here.
a nice studio.
Thank you. All right, well, let's get right into the conversations for this morning. Of course, after the weekend's aspirant race, it's been buzzing through, and now we have the NPP elders calling an emergency meeting over Boache Jakun Adai Nimo's 9-9 draw. Huh. Yeah, that's the story that's on the front page of the new publisher. The 9-9 draw story. All right, but let me just quickly read this one from citinewsroom.com. Aftermath of Delegates Conference, NPP Elections Committee meets flag bearer hopefuls. Now, the Elections Committee of the NPP is currently in a meeting with some of the aspirants who participated in the Special Delegates Conference held on the 26th of August. Now, the party is yet to give official information on the focus of the meeting, but Citi News sources say the meeting is to, among other things, take feedback from the aspirants or their representatives on Saturday's poll. The persons present at the meeting include Keneje Chapong, Kojo Poku, Frederick Oware, representing Dr. Mahamadou Baumia, Nana Ohene Into for Alan Tremantin, Kenwood Nousu for Dr. Owusu Efriya Akoto. The meeting, according to sources, is to offer them the opportunity to address concerns about the conduct of the Special Delegates Conference. Now, of course, we know how that panned out eventually. All right, let me start with you, Ernest. So, what happened? What was the outcome of that meeting?
Okay, so as communicated, okay, let me say good morning to our viewers out there and Ghanaians, and also good morning to my colleague and my senior from the NDC side. This morning, I think I've seen in the news, and I'm sure just as the national chairman communicated, I think there was an earlier meeting to discuss the position of those that tied up at the fifth position.
Yeah.
And information is that none of them agreed to step down. So when none of them agreed to step down, I think the most appropriate thing for the party to do is to engage the next step of the procedure by ensuring that maybe they run elections for both of them to see who emerges as a fifth person. There's also been that proposition from other people that since there's a tie by these two people, maybe the party may as good as well consider both of them to run together with the four, so that we'll have 6 parties contesting for the presidential slot on the ticket of the party. So that is the position on that as well. I have heard a lot of people making other comments as to whether the presidential primaries or the super delegate conference that we ran on Saturday do have a reflection on what we are supposed to have on 4th November. But then the issue is that, yes, I think based on the selection of the super delegates, I am convinced in my mind that it will ultimately have effect on the 4th November elections. Why do I say so? I think even pollsters are able to conduct polls that we are not privy to the people that they interviewed, but yet we are able to rely on those data to believe. And it actually turns out that, yes, some of those pollsters are sometimes correct in their predictions. So if we have such an election, selected number of people from certain aspects or units of the party voting in a super delegates conference, I am ultimately convinced that definitely it will have influence upon the November elections. Also, with such
Do you think that the outcome will be in the same pattern as we saw in the super delegates?
in terms of the margin?
No, in terms of the positioning. Those
Oh,
the one who
yeah,
first, second,
likely
third,
so,
fourth.
likely so. I am not surprised, for those of us who engage others before the elections, we knew definitely that it was going to come that way because I had been to other constituencies to campaign, and based on the interactions with the party faithfuls, the kind of questions that people are asking, the kind of support that people were showing, there are certain places that you could tell that, beside His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, there were people asking questions tilted towards Honorable Kennedy Japan. So my prediction before even the election day were that convincingly Honorable Kennedy Japan was going to be second on the slot. And I think that even if we go into the November 4th election, he's going to still be the second person on the slot, and he's possibly even going to open up some margin between himself and that of Honorable Alan Shermati. So that is...
Will he close the gap between himself and Dr. Bawumia?
No, that I don't think so. I don't think so. You see, contrary to what people are trying to say, that getting 68% in the elections is not as compared to what President Akufo-Addo had in the last super delegates election. I don't think it's a fair comparison to make, because that was like the third or fourth times President Akufo-Addo had contested in an internal elections. This is the first time Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is contesting as a candidate and in our internal elections. So it is only proper that if you want to so-called compare, then possibly...
Then compare the first time.
Yeah, compare the first time. Or possibly compare 2007 when President Akufo-Addo contested in the presidential primaries together with that of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Why do I say so? If you look at the electoral college then, the composition, it was made up of DCs, it was made up of only chairmen voting from the constituency, the regional executives, the national elections. So it is kind of similar to this electoral college. So then it gives you a base for you to compare. And if you extrapolate, you could tell that, I mean, for him to have garnered 68 to 69%, for me, I think reasonably, he's done very well. And comparatively, if you want to do that, he has done very well as a first-timer. So I don't think there's any base for any of us to compare this to that of the 2015 super delegate and say President Akufo-Addo garnered 80-something%. Therefore, the expectations were that His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia would have also, or is expected to also garner that same percentage. I don't think it gives a fair base for us to compare. He's done very well, and for him to have garnered almost close to 70%, which is like almost times two of what the other candidates all put together, the 9 people put together, garnering less than 30%. That tells you that even if you divide his vote, 50% of the people would still not vote for each or one person out of the 9 contestants. So I think he's done very well, and that's going to be reflective in the November 4 polls as well.
Mr. Dynamo was having a conversation with Umar Sanda on Face-to-Face yesterday on this channel. And one of the things he was talking about, he was doing a comparison between the election that's happening here and what happened in the UK, where Liz Truss came from behind, and eventually in the general main election came out top, and suggesting that there's no place to say if you didn't do well in the super delegates, don't contest because your fate has been sealed. He's saying that there's always a possibility of someone who is behind to catch up and overtake. I don't know what you think.
That possibility is quite remote. That's the honest truth. Secondly, yeah, I mean, never say never. You understand?
But the example you gave, I thought was fascinating, because Rishi Sunak and Liz Truss and whoever else they were also running with, I mean, when not front runners, in their election, but eventually it came out that Liz Truss then became, prime minister.
Yeah.
The elected prime minister.
That's what I'm saying, that that kind of contest, you understand, that expectation is remote.
Okay.
And for me, it can be akin to what the Bible says: if you have as faith, if you have a faith as small as a mustard seed.
Yeah.
So it's an issue of his faith. Okay. But legally, it is in his place for him to claim that he can still have that right and contest and expect that he will be at the forefront. But if you honestly want to analyze the data, if you want to look at the electoral college, if you want to look at the voter mindset of our people here, you cannot compare that to what is happening in the UK. In the UK, even a small or the minutest issue that confronts you can influence or make you lose elections massively. But here, the voter mindset is not the same.
Yeah.
So if you take that hook, line, and sinker, thinking that that's also going to be applicable in your situation, you might be deceiving yourself. Because the honest truth is that here, the essence of the super delegate is not just to reduce or sieve the numbers. It is also to gauge the mood and the expectations of the ranks and file of the party. So, if you are a contestant, wet your salt. It's up to you to analyze the numbers. It's up to you to know who your voters are, how they reason, so that you can be able to think and reason properly in terms of your expectation and what to expect in the results of the November polls. But I think that there's that remote possibility, and he shouldn't actually bank his hope on that. It doesn't work like that.
Victor,
in part of the world.
Standing from the outside, what do you make of all that's happening?
Well, let me say good morning to our cherished viewers. I can see how my colleague is struggling in analyzing, because they have to be kept in line, and you can't speak against the government. If he there says anything now, I'm sure the ramification, the consequences. If you look at it, the super delegate, what actually happened, what is the composition? It's less than even 1% of what is going on happen on November 4th. And who are the majority of the people who composed the super delegate? They are chief executives, ministers, appointees. So these are people from the establishment.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So they cannot be seen to vote against the government, the establishment candidate.
But they are also leaders of their own grassroots
How many of
movement.
them? How many of them?
Right.
How many of them?
You have
A chunk of
you
them.
have MPs in there. You have chairmen in there.
Yes.
And all these are leaders. They have people that follow them in the grassroots who are now going to come and vote.
Exactly.
So I would imagine that they are voting in the direction that their people. It's like they're leading the way for their people.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So you could see clearly that there have been allegation of money being given, changing hands, and all. I can tell you that when it happened, all the ministers, the MPs have to move, because this is a marching order for everybody to make sure that the candidate for the establishment gets it. You see, history always repeats itself. Let's look at what happened during the Kufuor era. Who was the establishment candidate? Yes, we did not have the superdelegate at the time. But when all the polling station executives and the rest voted, what did we see? They rejected the establishment candidate.
Who? Which was?
No. That was Alan in Kufuor's era, when he stood. Right.
Okay.
This time, the establishment candidate is Dr. Bahomia. Nobody will want to be seen an appointee that I want to be against the establishment candidate.
Yeah, but the ballots are
on the day,
the ballots are secret, though.
no,
So
the
you can
ballots
go
are
and vote,
secret.
nobody knows.
And
who
what
you
I'm saying that the number
are. Okay.
is going to be over 200,000. And you see, I'd always said that Kennedy Ajipon will pull a surprise. One, why? Because he's seen as somebody who speaks truth to power. He's bold to tell anybody, call the shot, and tell anybody his peace of mind. The grassroots also see him as somebody who speaks for them.
Yeah.
somebody who speaks for them. Now, so you see the votes that I would say Kennedy Agyapong got is a protest votes. Even within the establishment, people who are not happy about the way things are going. And whilst it will be a larger group in number on the 4th of November, I think that things will turn. Things will turn. That's my prediction. That's what I see. Or the gap will be closed.
Now, you know, people typically tend to be influenced by perception, right? So if Dr. Bawumia is perceived to be this popular, so popular that all the other votes put together, he's more than twice ahead. If he's perceived to be that popular, and if you look at the various areas where he won, 70% plus in a lot of areas, you know, a lot of regions. Don't you think that's rather going to influence the grassroots who may be sort of on the fence to say, you know what, maybe I shouldn't waste my vote, let me go this direction?
For us, as an NDC, as a party, we don't really care about who wins. I get it. We don't really care about who wins.
Yeah.
The only reason maybe we make it because any of them at any day, when we compare it with our candidate, we think that our candidate stands so tall.
Really?
Especially on the back of all that they have said, all that they have demonized John Mahama, His Excellency John Mahama, that he's been incompetent. What are we seeing? The embarrassment that we are seeing when it comes to governance. It has made His Excellency John Dramani Mahama a saint. They painted him black, right? But what are we seeing? And you see, for me, I would even salute the president for being very candid to say that there is a leader who will come and resuscitate the economy.
I mean, how?
That the economy is in mess. No. Hasn't it been reported by the media?
Yeah.
He himself has said it. He's been candid. He's been very candid that, look, I came in trying to make sure things work, and this is where we are. It tells you that he has even seen that his own cousin has messed up. All he's come to do is that bring us to our knees. And he says that there is a leader. That's the president. He's the leader who would come and resuscitate the economy. He has given the verdict. The verdict. So for us, within the NDC as a party, whether Dr. Bawumia wins, whether Alan Tremonti or Honorable Kennedy Agyapong, for us, the only reason why we may be interested in what happens is for democracy. We want to deepen democracy. And what we are seeing, or we saw during the superdelegate election, it calls for some reflection.
What did we see?
No. We saw some violence. This morning, in the news, I heard, is it Richard Nyama, who is saying that if the regulations within even the party cannot be followed, it cannot be followed, then they will now have to take cover for themselves. The party cannot protect them. They would have to protect themselves on 4th November. This is the tip of the iceberg. That is what the party itself, leading members are saying that our party, and you see, what confirms it is that, have you heard the party comes with an official press statement condemning the violence? All that we've heard is that they've hauled some people before the disciplinary committee. I haven't seen any official condemning that A, B, C, D that happened. It shouldn't have happened.
Yeah, but they're doing their investigation. Wouldn't you give them a bit of time? That's why they've hauled them.
No. So condemn it and say that, look, we are looking into this matter. We've had snippets of information, or there have been pockets of violence. We don't think that this should happen within our party. But they've been silenced. All they said is that we are investigating and hauling people before the disciplinary committee, that we will punish any party member, be it a flag bearer or any aspirant, we would have to punish them. What does it send? What signals do you get? Now, if this is happening within the NPP itself, that they are not sure of themselves, what will portend for us? That when we go into elections, what will it portend? That they themselves are not sure that they can be protected by their own people. So should I sit down and say that once they cannot protect their own house, they'll be able to protect the generality of us during election? No. So it tells us also that we need to be ready. That if they bring it to us, we must be able to meet them and say no. And you see,
you're sounding like Richard Nyama.
No. You see,
Nyama said,
yes.
I'll prepare myself to deal with anybody who misbehaves.
Exactly. Now,
can you imagine?
Exactly.
Okay, you are
exactly. That's what he said. And now what I'm saying is that, you see, people always say that we should not talk about protecting ourselves, or we should not say that, look, when you bring the fight, I will also come back in equal measure. You see, that alone tells the people that, look, if you want to fight, we will fight together. You will get a skull, I will get a skull. However, if the person is reasonable, look, there's no need for fight. Let's make peace. Let's agree to the roadmap. Are you getting where I'm coming from, Kweku? So I think that it is high time that we start to see the flashpoint, the signals, that we need to get our people involved and start educating that, no, this is not the way we want to go. I think for democracy to be deepened, we need to think about this country. This is the only place we have, Ghana. And when it starts happening, I'm not saying that it is only the NPP that it may happen. Yes, we may have one or two issues even within all political parties. And we need to look at it and say, we do not want violence when it comes to electoral processes. We are the same people. So if they themselves are telling us that they will meet each other on the 4th November, I just say that, look, it is a signal to us. It's a signal to this nation that we need to protect ourselves. And you see, consistently.
Yeah, but that's why we have the police. The police are there to protect us.
The police?
Yes.
When, you see, that even leads me to another issue, which I'll just a little bit. Have you heard what the revelation, when policemen, senior policemen are saying that, look, even we need somebody who can protect and call the elections.
Do they call elections in this country?
No. The police, look, the police, they come in to protect. If they turn a blind eye, we've seen it severally. I've always been in the polling station. I've been in collations since 2004. I've always been in the original collations. I've always been in the constituency, always on the move. When it is election, for 3 weeks, I don't stay home. 3 weeks to election, I'm always on the move. I go around this country. So I understand the election processes. You see, so for me, those are things that we need to look at. That, yes, the police, why is it that we are losing trust for the police when it comes to election matter? Why are we losing the trust? We are losing that confidence in them. And you see, things that are unfolding are testament to our fears that can we trust the police, that they will protect us? Those are things that we need to start the discussion. And that is when, not that National Peace Council and all the religious bodies and could do others who sits down. It is the aftermath. Then they come and say that let's have peace. No, let's be proactive. Let us be proactive to these signals.
You see, let me start from where he ended. It is such disgruntled mentality by Richard Nama and others that led to the violence he's speaking about. I was an agent for His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia for the Eastern region. Prior to the commencement of the elections, I mean, there was one or two misunderstandings. The police, I mean, thankfully, the police did very well. They called us to engage us on the side, all the agents. And after resolving the issue, one agent for one of the candidates, I don't want to mention names, actually said that when a party comes to vote and he openly displays his vote, he's going to confront the person and block the ballot box because he's not going to allow the person to put the ballot paper into the box. Right there, other people were trying to support, all the other 9 candidates were trying to support. I actually told him that it is not in his place to do that, and he cannot do that, and we will not allow him to do that. So I told him that if somebody does anything, if there is any act or omission of any person there which constitutes a violation of any laws, it is up to the police or the EC to act, not you as the agent. I think quickly we all were able to resolve the issue for all the other parties to understand that it is not in your place as an agent to go and block or prevent somebody from voting. Yeah. If there is anything, it is the EC. And right there, the police settled the score that, look, you cannot do that. So because it actually happened before we started voting, all of us were adding them on the issue that you cannot go and stand there and just do what you like. And therefore, we didn't have similar incident happening. If you take account of what happened there in Northeast, where he's trying to say there was some violence or the elections were characterized by violence, it is a similar incident. The agent tried to prevent some person from voting. And it is as a result of such disgruntled mentality where you think that you can call out people and tell people that I'm going to fight for myself and I'm stronger enough to defend myself. That puts you in the place where you have yourself be in such scaffolds. And for me, I mean, in as much as I condemn any mode of violence, whatever form, that it shouldn't happen in any electoral process, you cannot go into elections with such disgruntled mentality. That your expectations are that when somebody do not understand you or somebody thinks that what you are doing is wrong, you're going to take the law into your own hands and defend yourself. It's wrong. When you do that, what happened to the gentleman may happen to you. So even before November 4th, look at it, if it is true that account you are saying, that he said that he's going to defend himself, then for me, it's a bad one that he shouldn't have even put out.
Because he says the Alan team.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
He for the Alan team.
Yeah. But I'm saying this same account I'm giving you is from his team as well in the Eastern region. So assuming I was not there, assuming I did not know the position of the law, where I rose up to say that you cannot take the law into your hands and do your own thing, the gentleman would have done the same thing there in Eastern region, which would have resulted in a fight between him and other people. And that would have also characterized violence. But so such disgruntled mentality must be eliminated.
No, Bakumi, you see, that is it. But we all know that voting is secret. It's a secret ballot.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, when somebody election officials are there, the person takes a picture, a photograph of his vote, shows it around. The electoral officer keeps quiet. The police and the rest, they keep quiet. Right? You see, it is not in the place for the agent to say that I won't do that. But the person that the duty is imposed on to say it is wrong decides not to do anything. What do you expect? Are you getting?
You mean
let me finish my submission.
You mean the police?
The vigilance, equity avails to the vigilant, not the indolent.
Not the indolent.
Now, you see, these are things that I think that the electoral
but which law does that
officer,
violate?
That it's a secret ballot.
Yes.
When it's a secret ballot,
yes,
you don't have to show your ballot
to
but
I'm
anybody.
Asking specifically.
Are you getting it?
You understand?
The fact that
your vote is your
it
secret.
has not been criminalized.
Exactly.
No. The fact that it has not been criminalized does not mean that it's wrong. I'll give you an example. During the election petition, the very first one,
I think you've spoken at
no, I'm coming. Article 49 says that. I'm coming. 49 says that when the presiding officer does not sign the pink sheet, right?
Yeah.
It was wrong. That's what we said. But at the end of the day, there was no punishment. But we agree in totality that it was wrong that a presiding officer will not sign his pink sheet, and that would be counted. So the fact that it's not been criminalized does not mean that we are saying it is right.
Let me move on. You see, the fact that we all do acknowledge that your vote is your secret, you understand? It does not actually mean that the person has committed any legal wrong. And the fact that we are speaking about a moral wrong does not even warrant you to get up and take up the law into your hands.
That's what that one is.
To violate another person. It is totally unacceptable. No amount of words can explain that kind of misconduct. So you shouldn't even talk about it in the first place.
I'm not saying it's right.
Yes, so I'm saying that even with the EC, who are legally mandated to carry out such a function, they have nothing so properly called to do to the person who displaces his vote. That is the actual truth.
That means that
they can only advise.
Maybe it's an area that we need to look at.
Exactly, but I'm saying that it does not warrant anybody violating the right of the other person just because you are sitting there as the agent for the other person. Yeah. So whatever thinking that is going into Richard Nyama and his colleagues' mind, they have to take it out of their mentality. You understand? So if you say the EC is not acting on, quickly, just a few points. I think beyond that, when he was talking, he made mention of the fact that he thinks that the electoral college was full of appointees. To be very candid to him, only 20 people were part of the people that voted out of the 900 people. Out of the 900, there are only 20 people that are appointees that voted. So you cannot actually say that, oh, these are people that were appointed by the Akufo-Addo government and therefore they were whipped in line to vote for His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Because the honest truth is that there are 275 constituency chairmen that voted.
Yes.
There are 275, 137 MPs that voted. You understand? There are regional executives out of the 16 regions that voted. National executives, former national executives.
All of these people,
have gone
through election processes themselves.
And all these people have controls over the people on the ground. So it is actually false for anybody to tell you that, Mami, to say it up on these money matters, to go by the analogy that you were given. In 2007, you made mention that Alan Chemantin was an establishment candidate and he had all the money at his disposal. If it is anything to go by...
It's not about the money.
Okay, let's go by. Don't worry.
Yes.
If indeed he had money to spend there, and monies are used to influence elections, or that is what drives the results of elections, then he should have won the 2007 election. Yet he couldn't win. It tells you that it is part of the process, but yet still it is not the major determinant of the election's results. Thank you.